just so small.
Where it just jettisoned.
Hey there, this is the Small Stuff Podcast. My name is Kyle Roebuck. This is the intro. Let's start the show. Hey everybody, I'm going to look at the camera for this one. If you're on YouTube, hi. Before we get started, just want to say, make sure you're following Small Stuff Podcast on all social media platforms at Small Stuff Podcast on everything, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. If you're on YouTube, you found it. Congrats. Links for everything else I need to say are in the description. I don't know, whatever. I suck at these intros. Never gonna get good at them. Skyler Woolard, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Wonderful. What do you do?
So I was a trainer for 13 years, and now I am along with my wife, the owner of the Foundry Barbell. Mm-hmm. So we opened March 1st, and it's a small barbell gym here in Greenville, and we do personal training, strength training out of it.
Right. I think I learned of you a couple of years ago. I reached out to you at one point,
right,
a long time ago, but I couldn't afford to do that. So, because you're a really good personal trainer,
right,
and
I'm decent,
and you're a specialized personal trainer
right,
at that,
right.
That's the big thing. You're not just like, we're not just bro splitting every day,
right.
But yeah, as the bearded barbell on Instagram,
yep.
Is what I knew you as. I didn't know your name was Skyler for a very long time.
I don't think anybody that notices me outside of my circle of friends actually knows it. I've had two or three people, like when I'm out, be like, are you bearded barbell? And I'm like, or Skyler.
Yeah.
Whichever one.
I saw you in Target once.
I
didn't say anything. I was just like, I think that's that guy.
It's weird because I don't think I stick out very much.
You do.
Yeah, and my wife tries to keep responding. She's like, "You stick out."
You're a large man.
I'm like, I don't, and I don't know. I don't know why I thought that getting sleeve tattoos and a big beard would make me
less noticeable.
I don't know where the plan that was that I thought that was going to work, but it was a bad idea. I guess.
Yeah.
Awesome idea, but whatever.
When I first got when I first got tattoos below my elbow, it was the first time in my life I went anywhere and got weird looks.
Yeah.
Soon I walked into Walmart right after getting this one on my forearm. It was a few days removed, I guess. And this old lady looked at me, then looked at my arm, and then just looked straight.
Oh,
and I was like, I'm not going to rob you. What the hell?
Right. It's so funny when I started getting
I mean, it is a skull, I get it, but
right. So when I started getting it's funny, I wanted a tattoo. I've wanted tattoos since I was a child.
Same.
And then I never could get up and go do it. And I didn't really know either. And so my old roommate Thor was like, if you want a tattoo longer than a year, that's how you know you want it. This guy doesn't have tattoos. Mm-hmm. He's just older than me and looked up to him. So it's okay, I'm gonna listen to that. And so I wanted this poem up here, and I wanted it forever. So he actually took me to Goldsboro to his buddy and got it tattooed for me for my birthday. Oh. Never paid for my first tattoo. It was pretty awesome. And but then I felt I was like, I gotta get more. And
Isn't
then
that weird?
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna just do. But then I figured out that I have a problem that if I do this shoulder, I have to do this shoulder. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be at the same time, but it has to it has to happen.
Yeah.
And so that's
how it was on my hands.
So I noticed the rose one earlier. I hadn't seen that one. I just got my octopus hand maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and love it.
How bad was that for you? How bad was that one?
So,
by the way, we've got cameras. Why not? A little show. I don't know if you guys have ever seen. I'm Ricky Bobbian right now. How are you? Show the people your. Oh wait, go up a little bit. We're gonna use my camera for this.
Yep.
There we go. There we go.
3,000 tattoo for my wife. No, so I was sitting, I'd been staring at my hands one day at the gym, and I'm like, I want to tattoo my hands.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to tattoo my hands. So I text my tattoo artist, Brian Lee, here in town, Lee House Tattoos. And I was like, hey man, random thought. I want an octopus smoking a joint and a top hat. And like, Brian's busy. And like, I really didn't expect he'd be like, 3 months from now or whatever. Text me back Saturday at 10 a.m. I was like,
okay.
All right, bro. Somebody had canceled on him.
Yeah.
He needed to fill a spot. And he's like, that's a perfect, I can knock it out.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited about it. I tell my wife, and she's like, no. And she never tells me no about anything.
Yeah.
She's like, live your life, whatever. She's like, I hate it. And I was,
at least you don't have the tentacles running down your fingers.
so I think she thought that.
That would have been really cool. Not that that's not cool.
So I think Brian did. So like every time I tell Brian I want something ridiculous, like my tattoos are kind of ridiculous, and every time I tell him, Brian does a very good job of, like, he's like, it's a cool idea, but it's not going to come off cool as a tattoo.
Yeah.
Like the way it would look.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, and if we wrap them around your finger, it's going to wear.
Yeah.
This will look the best. And he was 100% right. I think she thought that. And then, whatever perception she had about hand tattoos. But it's funny because my wedding band, 3000, was because of her.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's perfectly fine. That's a ring.
Right. But she got me that's what got me thinking about it.
Yeah.
Was that I got that tattooed, and literally from that day I was like,
yeah,
both my hands need to have it.
Technically, this was my first hand tattoo, and then we did the ring next.
Right.
So it'd be cool to say that was the first hand tattoo, but it's not. That one is, that says click. And then I also have smile right there, which is not healed very well, but
that's what I heard.
It's cool.
That's what I heard about those.
But this hand tattoo was ridiculous. This sucked.
I was going to say, I'm sorry, off track.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Like, there was parts where he was tattooing, so like over here was not fun.
Yeah.
And then he'd get in here and I'd be like, oh, I can sit here all day.
It's meteor.
And then he was putting some white in there. And bro, I've never tapped out of a tattoo. And I was like, hey Brian, how much longer we got? Like 3 minutes, a minute, 20 minutes. And he's like, almost done, bro. And I'm like, all right.
You said that 3 almost done's ago.
Right. So he came back over here and I'm like,
yeah, because now that's raw.
Right. And then he comes back to it. I'm like, and then finally we get up and he's like, all right, man, go check it out. And I'm like, thinking he's going to go on a smoke break or something. And I'm like, it looks great, Brian. He's like, all right, we're good. I was like,
sick.
Great. I wasn't about to tap out, but like,
I almost backed out of this rose one. I mean, there's a lot of black in that one. There's a lot of black in this.
Right.
This one wasn't so bad. This was Bethany downtown at Gary's Skin Graphics. And she's got a very light hand.
Right.
So this one didn't hurt like damn near as much as this one. This one, I almost like tapped out, almost passed out. Like your boy was, I knew if I left, I wasn't coming back.
Yeah,
like it was going to stay however it was.
We got to finish it today. Like right now, like it's.
Yeah.
I'll actually say, I think the other one was the Cheshire Cat's tail.
Oh, that's cool.
Wraps around to like somewhere in here.
Yeah.
And that was not fun.
Yeah.
That was not fun.
You were talking about that meat on the side over there.
Dude.
That right there, or this down here, I imagine the same thing. But like this leaf right here, boy, I felt like he was tattooing my elbow. Like he's hitting that, and there's so many nerves just like firing.
So like right here's tight on me for whatever reason. So I got some meat in here, but like here when I was doing that, it just made everything tight. And like I think that was
just hammering the muscle. Yeah,
like I think that was and this always is never fun.
Yeah. That was the first tattoo I ever got below the elbow.
Really?
Yeah, and it wasn't bad. Like I mean, it stung, but I guess it's just different for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's
like that didn't really hurt, but I feel like it should.
That looks like where it's pressing at. I feel like it should have been
right. It didn't really hurt, but that's also Bethany. Like I said, she does a really good job at like not hurting me.
Do you know what her Instagram name is?
Little Bee Stings.
Yeah, so I like her artwork. I really enjoy it. One of my buddies at the gym has, I think poke bowl or like a
poke bowl.
Yeah, poke bowl or noodle bowl or so. I don't know what it is on his calf, and she did it.
Well, that's cool.
And I'm like, oh, that's pretty sweet.
I feel like Luke has that. You know Lucas Owens?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't know why I feel like maybe I'm thinking of another chef that's like not. So I watch a lot of YouTube, and there's a chef on YouTube. It just
bleeds all together.
Yeah, I'm sure because they're both like.
This is my
favorite people of mine.
I really hope that. This is Cuddy Styles I'm thinking about, and I really hope that it's like he's gonna be like, "Hey man, that's a watermelon." I'm gonna be like, "Oh.
That's half a watermelon, man."
Like,
yeah,
oh.
Close, same shape.
You could scoop it out.
Yeah, it's a bowl.
You could make it into a bowl.
Yeah. So back to the fitness stuff real quick.
Yeah.
So when did you get into fitness, and how did you end up into it?
You want like the long story of all that?
I got all night.
All that jazz. So, I was real overweight as a kid. Like
Samesies.
Yeah. And real short. I hit a growth spurt around like probably when most boys do, like 6th or 7th grade maybe. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I had boobs, like just not. In 4th grade, I played Little League football, and my parents wouldn't let me quit. But I was so out of shape that like
it sucked.
It sucked, and then like I had a double halo, so I couldn't even tackle kids.
What does that mean?
So like I was so big compared to other kids that I blocked people, but I couldn't like tackle the ball carrier.
Yeah.
Like, cause I couldn't like if he ran into me, but like I couldn't. It was this weird rule, safety rule.
Yeah, I get it. But I think they have that in Pee Wee.
Yeah, I was in 4th grade. They're like, look, bro.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're as tall as you are wide. Like, you can't be landing on these kids. I hated it. She's like, look, at the end of the season, you can not play anymore. So, and then they bought me a weight bench. They being my parents and like my whole family as a whole bought me a weight bench.
It's the least passive aggressive way. To get someone an exercise machine.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, this is cool.
Right. I remember opening the bar on Christmas Day. Like, all of my family would go to my grandparents, and we'd open them. I remember opening my bar and being like,
okay.
Man, I'm really excited about this. I really want a video game, but like, yay, cool. I got a weight bar.
Yeah.
Didn't use it. Didn't use any of it.
Yeah.
Like, like any other home gym equipment. And then I guess I started hitting puberty. I got bullied a lot, and like the combination of getting bullied and then hitting puberty, I was like, I gotta do something. I got this weight bench, and then I started lifting, and then I actually played football again in like 6th grade and loved it. Like I was actually like just that year or so of time, I grew up enough that I was like, oh my God, I love this. And then I figured out I was not very athletic, and so I was like, went to the high school, and they're like, if you can get like strong and fast, you can overcome some of these athletic faults you have.
Yeah, you're not athletic because you're shaped like a peach.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, I was like 180 when I graduated 8th grade, or like left 8th grade, but I was
170
at the time though. I was as tall as I am now probably, but I wasn't, puberty had done its work.
Yeah.
I was like a very stout 170, small. And so I got to high school, and I was like, oh, well, if lifting weights makes me better at football, I'm just going to lift all the weights. And then I met CJ Wilson, who played for the Green Bay Packers eventually, and I figured out that, like, man, some people got it, some people don't.
I got something, but it ain't what he's got.
Not that. And so, but I fell in love with it, and I fell in love with the process of getting stronger. Like, I'd have a bad day at high school, and I'd go to weight, like, I always took weightlifting instead of PE. And I'd go to the weight room, and like I'd go in there and I'd lift and I'd feel better. And like, you have girlfriend problems, you have like friend problems, you have home problems. Go in the weight room, and like maybe it wasn't the smartest. I remember having some dumb days in there, and like Coach Mitchell was like, "Hey man, don't be an asshole. Like, come in here and work out, but like don't be that guy." In his Coach Mitchell way.
You're in there just like
like we were doing bot squats one day, and it was like a light set, and I'm like banging into it and yelling, and he's like, hey man,
hey, it's 1:35, calm down.
Right.
What are you doing?
Right. And he's like, 1, you're gonna hurt yourself. 2, you're not gonna accomplish anything. 3, you look like a jackass. I'm like, good male leadership early on helped.
Yeah.
So it found a way of me dealing with everything that was going on. life and otherwise. And I remember very early on, like sophomore year maybe, somebody was like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to play in the NFL." They're like, "Okay."
No, really.
But like, what do you really want to do? And I was like, well, if I don't hit a growth spurt here soon, that's probably not going to happen. You know, I'm 5'8". Mm-hmm. They're like, so I was like, I'd really like to train people that were trying to go into the NFL or something. That way I could still be around the sport. And I was like, I want to own a gym. Like, no shit. I wrote it down. I remember it. And it's always in the back of my head.
And you said you were how old at this point?
14 or 15.
Okay.
So, that's how much fitness and like everything impacted me early on. Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, like every other like teenage boy, like, yeah, it becomes your identity a little bit there and like whatever. But for me, we were very poor. Family did best they could, obviously. Like, mm-hmm. Everybody else does, you know, like everybody, but like you go home and you're like, I don't have a computer. I don't have anything. Like, what do we do? So I'd go to the gym the next day, go to work out, be with my buddies. I really looked up to my Coach Mitchell as a father figure, like just a ton of positive experience around one thing. Mm-hmm. And then it made, like, in my head, it made me look better. So as growing up as like a chubby, overweight kid, I have these muscles. I can see them. I'm like, oh, my confidence like boost, you know? And so it just impacted me super early on. Go through high school, not really interested in school. It like certain aspects of school came easy to me, but other ones didn't, like math, like could not, whatever.
Math has never been my thing. I'm an English guy.
Right.
Like, I love creative writing and
I'm too long with everything in life. I'm too long-winded, mm-hmm. you know, so like writing, I just like, I like write my wife a love letter and she's like, bro, I read that thing for 4 days. He's like, what are you doing, man? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. So get out of high school. I don't qualify to go to EC. I didn't even send in applications to go to a 4-year university because I was like, my grades were that bad.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I go to community college.
Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Beaufort County. So okay. Bad. Yeah, I'm a local guy.
Not that far away.
No, I'm a local guy. So get up here. I enroll at Beaufort. One of my good friends, Justin, was going there, and he was going to transfer. Mm-hmm. And I was like, sweet. Because I'd came to ECU for some football camps, and had been decent enough that if they told me, hey, if you like walk on with long snapping, like you could maybe make it. It's an outside shot, but like you're good enough to do that.
You could long snap the fuck out of a ball.
Right. That's, yeah. And so I'm like, all right, I'll stay in shape. I'll go to community college. I'll academically qualify, transfer into ECU. Mm-hmm. I'll walk on. That was my like golden ticket. Set my mind to it. Well, then like nobody told me like you got to like pay for all this stuff. So like,
wait, as a walk on, you have to.
Well, yeah, well, like,
or is it just to that point? College?
Well, in walk, you don't get a scholarship or anything. So as a walk on, you are. But before that, like apartment, like food, you know, it's my parents. It was not the situation that I was gonna like get help. They'd help as much as they could, obviously, mm-hmm. but like, there's not gonna be any help there. So I'm living at home, driving to Beaufort Community College, and I'm like, I gotta get a job. So I get a job pushing carts at Walmart. My mom got me the job. I was too young. I was actually 17, so I couldn't work anywhere yet when I graduated. And so I was pushing carts, and luckily this man that worked at GameStop, his name's Ted, he still works here at the Greenville one, walked down. He's like, hey, man, you seem like you're a really hard worker. Like, you want to come sell video games? And I'm like, fuck yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Like, I love video games. He's like, what video games do you play? I'm like, I play Madden. He's like, what else? I'm like, NCAA. And he's like,
anything else?
I was like, bro, my mom buys me a football game at Christmas and then a football game at birthday. That's all I get. And so he's like, all right, we can work with it. So quickly become assistant manager, fill in some managerial duties here and there, start losing track of fitness, start losing track of school because I'm having to work so much. Like, I'm still working out, but it's like, once a week, twice a week.
Yeah.
Just try like literally anything.
When you started working out and you started taking it seriously in high school and stuff, did you go from like fat kid to
Yes.
to the really strong, still big guy?
Yeah. So when in fourth and fifth grade, when I started like just going to my room and lifting whatever, once puberty took hold, my body changed really quick.
Okay.
So like I was probably 150, 160 pounds, like roly-poly.
Mm-hmm.
And then by 8th grade, I was like skinny.
Oh, okay.
I was skinny, but like you could tell, like I've always had traps and like delts, like genetically.
Yeah.
Like I don't do a lot of work for them. They're just there.
Lucky.
Right? I mean.
Zero shoulders over here.
So everybody's like, what do you do? I'm like, I just deadlift.
I just live.
Yeah, I just do it. So freshman year, we were really good in football my 8th grade year. And then my freshman year, get there, all the seniors graduated. We're really good as JV players. So Bath was predominantly white kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think we had like one black kid, one black kid, maybe one Hispanic girl, maybe in the like all of 8th grade. And then Bellhaven, mostly black kids. And then like just kind of we're literally the inverse. Yeah. Both really good schools. Like they were really good athletically and also really good academically. We were really good academically and like really good at baseball. And so when you combine those schools, you get all these great kids and you get best of both worlds. That's
kind of how North Pitt was.
Really?
Yeah. It's probably like a 60-40, 70-30 split. 30 being the white kids.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But they were coming from all over. It was coming from like Pactolus, like all those little middle schools around there.
Right.
And then Welcome. I went to Welcome, which if you went to Welcome, you know, is predominantly black school. And yeah, it was just like a lot of athletics.
Right.
Like a lot of talent came from those different schools.
I mean, some of the most athletic guys I knew came from Bellhaven. Mm-hmm. Like Derek Leathers, who was on the state championship team, he came to ECU. The reason he got recruited by ECU was because Terrence Copper was a junior, I think, at Washington, and Derek shut him down as a sophomore, maybe. Maybe they're the same grade, but shut him down. Like, Terrence played wide receiver, Derek played cornerback, nothing. And so he ended up going on to ECU and, like, didn't work out at ECU for whatever reason. But some of the guys I played with, super athletic guys, CJ ended up going and playing, starting the Super Bowl for Green Bay. Greg Palmer went and played Elizabeth City State and like killed it up there. And so we had Elias. He walked on for rugby at UNC. He only played a year for us at like all these uber athletic kids, really bright. And like, so, and we weren't very good our sophomore year. We lost every football game that we played. We're like, we really got our freshman year, but they moved us all up to varsity at the end of our freshman year to fill in spots. We're a 1A team. And so our coach got us into powerlifting. And he was like, that's kind of where the seed got planted. He's like, I got a bunch of big dudes, but we're not very athletic yet. We need to get them stronger. So got us into a powerlifting program. Started taking us to competitions, the ones that really wanted to go. You know, we'd go. We had to pay, we had to pay our own entry meet, whatever. It wasn't a school-sponsored thing, but Coach Mitchell would take a bus, pick us up in the morning, drive us to wherever the competition was. We'd compete. We'd come home. And it was like heaven on earth for me.
I can't believe North Pitt never got anything like that organized.
So it's big. It's big in like Texas and Florida, and I think maybe even Jersey. And these schools have big powerlifting programs. And like around here, the coaches don't.
Yeah.
I'm like, so whatever. But it taught me so much about the sport from an early age. So I graduated high school at like 200 pounds maybe, but pretty solid. Like I squatted like 440 at 198, which kids now are like crushing that. But back then we didn't have the internet. there was like, that was really strong for them. Like the crazy thing was there's 2 kids that they were a year older than me, Trey Manning and Sean Hopkins. They were squatting like 500 and 600 pounds.
Jesus Christ.
And so like early on in my lifting career, I was always the like 3rd guy because I was really strong.
Yeah.
But like Trey and Sean were monsters. They benched 400, like deadlifted 600.
Mm-hmm.
Like Trey, I don't think I ever saw Trey lose a competition in high school ever, you know? And then it's crazy. Like he lives out in Plymouth now, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And we hosted a competition at Tier 1 when I worked there. And I'm like looking at the roster. I'm like, oh, Trey, like I think that's Trey Manning. I know Trey Manning.
Yeah.
Comes and sets like at the time, I think it was a top 10 total for the year. Like totals over 2,000 pounds after not seeing him. So like like Coach Mitchell and his powerlifting program not only affected me, but like a ton of guys, you know?
So, we had a guy like that, Marquette Jones. Shout out to Marquette. Hi. He's a short guy, but he was like big, you know?
Yeah.
And, he was a round guy,
right,
but he's very strong, like a super, like just dense dude.
Right.
And he's like this tall, like kind of, I don't want to estimate, but you know, he's not a tall guy. Because of that, he has like little way to go in a lift, you know, not diminishing the, the strength or anything. He lifted what he lifted.
Right. Absolutely.
I think he still holds a squat record. Maybe it's been broken. I'm not sure.
Right.
And he's been gone for 10 years now.
Right.
About.
Right.
And I mean, I think he was squatting like over 500 as a frickin' sophomore.
Yep.
I don't know why I said frickin'. Went back to high school. And benching over, I think he was benching over 500. I mean, just because, you know, he's going,
Right.
But like, he's
still a strong lift.
Yeah, like that's huge, man.
Yeah, it's still a strong lift.
Like I couldn't even hold that.
Right.
I couldn't hold that now.
I remember like my bench was very bad in high school. I just, it's actually my worst lift even now. It's gotten better now, like in the last few years, but I remember in high school it was horrible. And like, that was the thing that set me apart from the other 2 guys is like, they had really good benches, like awesome benches. And I remember one day I was like, Trey, like, let me hold 405.
Don't leave.
Like, I barely benched like 275.
Keep your hands under it, please.
Like, let me hold 405. And they're like, all right. So like, we get like 2 side spotters and a back spotter, and like we unrack it. I'm immediately like, take it. Like,
yeah,
this is not how I want my life to end today.
Oddly enough, I think because like I think I was talking about it. One of the guys at the gym the other day. Like I don't have long arms for a big guy.
Right.
Like for a tall guy,
right.
I don't have long arms. Like, and I realized it. I don't know, when I was like 19. I'm seeing all these guys who are my height who have arms like that are
hanging out
almost at their knees.
Yeah, and you're like, oh. And
I'm like, that looks normal. And then I look at me and I'm like, oh, that's why I look weird. I have like short legs and short arms.
They're
so
like,
bench is actually
it's
my best
a little bit
lift.
Better. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I've had to manipulate, like I have to use my, I have to reduce the range of motion to get a good bench, which is fine. It's part of the sport.
Yeah.
Like whatever. But yeah, so going back to where I was, I'm working at GameStop. I'm working close to 40 hours a week and going to school for like 15 hours. And it sucks. And I start falling into like not exactly what what I saw my parent, because my mom worked in retail and my dad was self-employed artist, really good artist, but like self-employed. So like I had 2 lifestyles I grew up. I watched, you know, my mom work herself to the bone 60, 70 hours a week. And I watched my dad, you know, kind of do his own thing. Yeah. And I'm like, what? And that's all I really knew. Yeah. So I'm slowly seeing myself. I'm getting worse grades in school. I'm falling out of fitness. And I'm not really making a lot of money. And I'm like not happy. And I'm like, like whatever. So I graduate from Pitt because like that was another thing. I didn't want to live in Beaufort County anymore. So like all my best friends, I've had the same group of guy friends that are awesome dudes around me my whole life. I think it's one of the only reasons I'm successful is because of them. And like they moved up here. And I was like, I got to move up here with them.
Yeah.
How are you going to pay for it?
I don't know.
Like I'll go give plasma at BPI, like,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. So I move up here. I'm living on their couch, and I graduate from Pitt. And the advisor I had this time, I think I saw her the other day, and I wanted to be like, hey, you don't remember me, but you changed my life. So like, shout out to you.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks for that. So I'm sitting there talking to her, and she's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to train people. Like, I hate what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, I got to go to ECU and get this, like, whatever. And she's like, why? I'm like, because that's what I've been told to do.
Yeah.
Like, I got to go to a 4-year university.
Yeah.
She's like, that's really stupid. And I'm like, it's the first time I ever heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in my life's telling me,
yeah,
got to go to school.
Got to go to college. Got to go to college. Got to go to college.
And I'm like, all right, you're crazy, but I'm going to tuck this away in the back of my head. Because, like, I think any advice somebody's trying to give you out of a good place where they have nothing to gain from it and, like, whatever, like, I'm like, you should at least tuck it away, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I go and still working at GameStop. My parents, like, helped me pay for a online training certificate or whatever it was. It was bullshit.
Yeah.
I remember taking the course, and like it was a very intensive course, actually. Like, I did my research on which one to take, but I just remember being like, this isn't preparing. I got to the gym, I started trying to like get jobs. It did not prepare me at all. Like,
also,
they teach you the ins and outs of, like, you know, anatomy and biomechanics and stuff like this, but it's a very surface level. You know, they're covering this thing in an online course, and online courses were not what they are today. You know, you don't have full lectures, you know, it's just brief things and you're looking over it. And so, like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, oh, I'm going to train Kyle. Kyle's going to come in. He's going to tell me exactly what he wants. And I'm just going to plug it in to this perfect system. That's literally, that never happens. You know, you might come in and say, hey, I want to get really strong, or I want to lose weight, or I want to I want my ass to be bigger, or my traps to be bigger, or whatever. There's so many other things that go into it. And there's, like, everything that you read in that book. I mean, it helps. Like, trust me, it helps. But, like, what if you can't squat? Or what if, like, you had a really bad experience in the past and, like, these certain exercises you just don't like? What if you're just a disagreeable person? Like, you want to get trained, but you don't really like being told what to do, which I know that sounds like who would ever do that? A lot of people.
yeah.
So it didn't, like, it was shell shock. And I remember picking up a little job and being like, yeah, I was like, if you clean my bathrooms and you clean the equipment and you come here at 5 a.m., you know, after like 6 months, I'll let you can, I'll help you get a client. We'll see how it goes. That was horrible. But it got me used to, like,
Did it work?
Yeah, it got me used to being, like, in the gym at 5 a.m., which is something that they don't tell you, like, until you, like, if you're a trainer, you're always going to be up early. Maybe not 5 a.m., but you're going to be up early, you know? And it got me used to that, and it got me used to figuring out that, like, man, I can't go out and drink all night and do all these dumb things that I'm doing that don't really line up. And then the guy I talked about, Thor, earlier, he had opened a gym in Greenville, and it was East Carolina Barbell. And it was like legit everything I ever wanted in a gym. Had turf down the middle, squat racks, deadlift plates. The East Carolina strength team would come, strength coach would come out. They'd do seminars. Awesome.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, okay, this is where I turn around, try to, like, do these things. And Thor, the way Thor would motivate people, and he still does it a little bit, is he would just challenge them. So we're out one night, and, like, we bump into each other, and he's like, when's the last time you did a competition? I'm like, oh man, it's been years. He's like, why? I'm like, give him some bullshit reason. He's like, oh, so you're like scared. He's like, you're scared of competing. And I'm like, no, I'm not scared of competing. I've competed like 12 times in twice a year in high school, you know, like whatever. each semester. And he's like, it's not high school anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's like, you're afraid to see that you're actually weak. And I'm like,
it just keeps
going in. Keeps going in.
You're like, I'm not falling for it,
Right,
man.
right,
I'm not
right.
Okay.
Right. And I'm
okay.
like, right. And he's like, why don't you come work at my gym and I'll help you get like strong again. And I'm like, I am strong.
You get home and you're just like looking in the mirror. I don't know, man.
Right. Like
I'm kind of small.
Right. And so like,
he's right.
And I had been BSing it, you know, like, I was trying to do what at the time in Greenville, there was, I don't know if tier 1 had become a thing yet. Mm-hmm. This was, I think, before tier 1, or like, if it was like
a very small.
Yes. Yeah, same time period. So nobody had barbells and that's all I was used to training with. No, like gyms had like one squat rack and I was trying to.
Really?
Yeah. It was weird, dude.
Like even Planet Fitness has like kind of a squat rack.
So like now it's become more mainstream. Back then,
yeah,
it was like each gym had like 1, 2 things, you know?
When is this?
Not
to date you or anything.
I'm going to be 35 in July.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was like 19.
I thought you were about to tell me that you were like, I don't know, in your 40s.
Old.
And I was going to be like, you don't seem like you're okay.
No. I was 30. So like 19. I was 19, however long ago that was, 19, 20.
Yeah.
You know? And so I can't really afford to go to Thor's gym and they don't trust me enough to be a trainer. Mm. So I'm just continuing, but like in the back of my head, I just have this like Thor, like being like, you know, you're not good enough. Mm-hmm. And it's probably my insecurities. Like he probably never thought about that conversation. He did. Like we've had this conversation. We ended up being roommates. He's one of my best friends. So I end up going to his gym and I fall in love with it. And they end up having to downsize and move to a small garage gym across from J.H. Rose, like those ample storage.
Okay.
And we trained, there was me, Thor, and Johan and Billy. Johan and Thor were the owners. Me and Billy were just trainers. We paid gym dues to the gym. We trained people for dirt cheap. No gym membership, monthly fee, just dirt cheap. I remember my first paycheck was like $1,400. And that was without taxes taken out.
Yeah.
And I was stoked. I was like, yes, you know? And it brought everything back into focus. Immediately, like the depression I was dealing with, still there, but like really edged off, you know, like had a purpose now. Like I'd go to the gym, I'd train my clients, I'd work out, purpose. You know, I was only making $1,400. I wasn't really I was barely paying my bills. The girl at the time I dated was awesome. It was like, she was trying to get started in her career as a school teacher. Like it was just us scraping by, but like none of it. Once again, the weight room like came back into focus and was like, okay, you can solve a lot of issues here, you know, or at least I was telling myself that.
Yeah.
I trained there for a while. I ended up leaving and going to tier 1. Neil Woolard, who's a family, like down the road cousin of mine, had him and his buddy Brandon Johnson had started doing CrossFit together to get out of Excel Fitness and decided to open up tier 1, which was going to be boxing. Because Neil, both of them boxed, they sparred each other and they lifted. And then they're like, we'll do CrossFit on the side to kind of just like for funsies. CrossFit blew up. This is around the time that CrossFit just blows up.
Yeah.
And they start killing it. And I'm like, hey, like the writing was on the board that like we were dying as a gym. The business model wasn't working. And like we were all going through growing pains as trainers. And so like I made the decision to leave. And then Thor and Billy came with me. And Johan, Neil and Brandon gave us a really good deal. Like, bring your clients over here. We'll help you out. We'll get the equipment you need. They didn't have a lot of squat racks. They had squat racks, but they're like standalone squat racks. Didn't have what we needed.
Yeah.
And just like welcomed us. And they told us, you know, we wanted to become a beacon. Like We want to have CrossFit. We want to have powerlifting. We want to have strongman. We want to have Olympic lifting.
All this niche stuff that you don't really have around here.
All in one building.
Yeah.
And so we're at where Rick House is, was where this was.
Okay.
And so.
Really?
Yeah.
Right up here on the corner.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I go in there and eat, I'm like, bro, I saw a chick throw up all over this floor. Obviously, it's a different floor. It's been cleaned, like whatever. I saw a guy, he was stretching using a PVC pipe in a big green band, and the band slipped, and it immediately created a slingshot with the PVC pipe that snapped.
Ooh.
It shot across the gym and went through the wall beside a person's head.
Bro. That's so.
Oh, everybody stopped.
Wild.
Everybody stopped. It was an NFL player, and he was doing his like pre-warm ups, and so he was doing these like explosive like starts and stops, and like he's working out at a local gym. Like it's not the same. It's not that the quality is not the same, but the wear and tear is different. You know, in the NFL or college, even like a band gets a little like dingy. They're like, get rid of it. Get a new band.
So that we don't impale someone's head.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Holy shit.
I was like, so when I go into Rick House, I'm like, almost saw a person die there.
Yeah.
And, but no, so we move, we end up, the tier 1 takes off. Brandon and Neil built the perfect community. And it kind of set, East Carolina Barbell had a lot of the good community I wanted, but tier 1 set the precedent for like having community in the gym and seeing how much community mattered. Mm-hmm. Like lifting weights mattered to me, but like the community within it, and having a separate family within it, and having like people I could like rely on, you know, meant a lot. So we moved to where tier 1 is now. Mm-hmm. I think it's like a 25,000 square foot location. It's huge. Where it was I think they've downsized since Neil left and we left. But you know, you come in the front, it's an office building. The middle room, they basically just let me run and do what I wanted to with it. And it was 3,000 square foot of just like they had bought a lot of equipment, but like there was enough room in there I could buy equipment and put it in there. Mm-hmm. And then the whole back end, they transformed it like a CrossFitter, Olympic lifter's like dream, you know, like gigantic rack down the middle. And we go do strongman there. We started hosting powerlifting events for like, I think I was there for like 7 or 8 years. It was like, I don't think anybody could really fuck with us. Yeah. We had some really good CrossFit athletes. I squatted 804 out of that gym. I squatted my first 3 times bodyweight squat. I squatted 685 at 220 at that gym. Like, we had Travis, who's a local CrossFit guy, who was just like shredded and like would outwork you. Didn't matter. Mm-hmm. Didn't matter what you're going to do. He's going to outwork you. Powerlifting like workout. He may not outlift you, but after you get done, he's like, all right, man, let's go push the sled. And you're like, everything. We just had the greatest group of people. And we had everything we wanted. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, this is kind of like back of my head. I'm like, this is what I want, like to open. And I really didn't know. I was like a dog chasing a car. Yeah. Like, I have no fucking clue how to do this. Yeah. But I'm going to do it. I just don't know how.
Don't know what's going to happen when I get it.
Right. So
no clue.
Neil and Brandon decided they wanted to kind of get away from that. Like I think just owning a business like that. Mm-hmm. The business has gotten so big. It's like, and like Brandon was trying to spend more time with his girls and his family. Neil wanted to have his like own little personal, more just him. You know, mm-hmm. he was dealing with day-to-day stuff all the time. Dealing with my bullshit, mm-hmm. dealing with other trainers' bullshit, dealing with his clients, dealing with the gym, landlord stuff, you know, like, and Brandon was too. So like both of them were like, let's sell it. Yeah. And when they sold it, Neil opened up Punch Fit, and I went over there. And I think I loved being over there, but it was small. You know, like it was for him. Yeah. Neil opened up what he did anything, what anybody would do. Like, I'm going to go open up what I want, exactly what I want. Mm-hmm. And like, he was nice enough when I left tier 1, some like weird things happened. Like, he was nice enough to be like, come here, like bring your clients here. Mm. And like really helped me out during that time. So like, once again, common theme, like the gym and the family the gym provided constantly like pushing me forward and helping.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Some of the stuff Neil did in that period of time, like he didn't have to do. Like he really could have said, "Hey man, tough luck, but he didn't. And so, in the back of my head, I'm like, I meet my wife, Carrie, we hit it off, and like, she's well established. She's got a good career. In the back of my head, I'm like, I'm going to do something. I need to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, I need to do it now. You know, her dad's like, my only daughter is dating a personal trainer. He had no clue. So you know, he went to the YMCA, so he probably had like, you know, like he has like, he's like, what is this guy doing?
This guy makes $7.25 an hour,
right? Cleaning off benches. He's like, what is going on? So, you know, train clients out of Punch Fit, and then COVID hits, and the world stops for, I'm pretty sure, everybody.
Damn, you were there that late.
Yeah.
I mean, that hit like 2 years ago. Doesn't feel like it.
Right. But yes.
Wow.
So, the world stops. I kind of saw the writing on the wall. Like things were getting shut down. I was like, how am I going to make money while we can't have a gym? And in the back of my head, I think I knew what was going to happen, but I didn't want to risk it. Carrie has asthma, and at the beginning of it, we didn't know.
Yeah.
Like the reports were scary as fuck.
Yeah.
I had other clients with compromised immune systems, and like the last thing I wanted to do was take something I like loved, lose it, and then get somebody hurt, because we didn't know. Like it was like insane sounding, you know? And so I'm like, I'm going to go to my garage. We look at ordinance. There's nothing blocking in the ordinance, you know, so like we can't get in trouble there. Start off with just a little bit of equipment I own that we could fit. And then one of my clients and good friends is a local doctor, and him and my lawyer call me like within 10 minutes. And they're like, hey man, Monday they're probably shutting everything down. Like you need to probably shut your garage gym down just to be safe.
Really?
Yeah. They're like, just to be safe.
Yeah.
This is early on, you know, they're like, they're talking about giving it a week or 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I can survive for 2 weeks. And then we get like a month in, no income. And I had I had some awesome clients that like still paid. They didn't need to, they didn't have to, but they like good people looking out for me. Once again, the gym, you know?
Yeah.
And, helped out. And then like I had some friends, like I still kept working out, and I had some friends that like they were going to come work out with me. So like regardless, I trained them already. So like it wasn't that. And then slowly as the world, like as things evolved, it was like, okay, I'll just start training people one-on-one, which I hate training that way because it just lags. Yeah.
We talked about that a little bit. What's your dislike of that?
So like it's not that I dislike it. I don't want to say that. It's like inefficient. 2, it's expensive. So you're paying another person for their immediate attention.
Yeah.
So what would you put, like if I said, hey man, I need you to come help me with my car. I'm going to need you for an hour. Well, and like, I'm going to pay you for the hour, but now you guys like, so what would you put your hour worth?
I don't know.
Right. So like,
was that the answer you thought I was going to say?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Like, you're like, I don't know what my hour's worth.
I have no idea.
And then you start saying, hey man, like, all right, John needs you to go fix his car, and it's going to be an hour and a half. And you're like, well, John's my friend. Like I don't want to charge John. Like he's already got to pay for this expensive part.
Yeah.
I don't want to take advantage of John. So I'll give John like my buddy discount. And then after you get done, you're like, you've missed the meal. It's been an hour and a half. Your wife's like
mad.
Yeah. Your regular job. You're like, well, fuck, that hour and a half was kind of worth way more than that. And then it starts popping up that you're good at working at cars. And you're like, well, what's your hour worth? And you're like, fuck, it's $100 an hour plus labor. And they're like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not paying you to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and so with training, I started off with one-on-one. And like And not to get wrong, I love talking, like my clients are my family. I love interacting with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but you said one-on-one is like inefficient.
it's inefficient.
What do you mean by that?
So what I mean by that is kind of going to tie it in. So I'm talking with you
Mm-hmm.
and we're squatting,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, you can't squat the whole time, right?
Right.
So you can't squat the whole time. So I'm sitting there. Let's say you do 6 sets of squat and you take a minute in between each set.
Mm-hmm.
The set's going to take you about a minute because it's going to take you 20, 30 seconds to set up. It's going to take you 20, 30 seconds to unrack it, get back. And then the set's going to take, a few seconds?
Sure.
Not long.
Yeah.
Then you're going to rack it. And let's say we start a timer as soon as you rack it,
Mm-hmm.
2 minutes, which is kind of quick for big guys like us. Like 2 minutes is like moving, So you're at 3 minutes a set? You're at 18 minutes now. Now most personal trainers are going to charge their 30-minute sessions. So you've done one exercise in 18 minutes. What else are you going to do? All right, we'll go to the machine. I'm going to throw you on this leg curl machine or whatever it is. Leg extension, whatever, glute bridge, whatever. It does not matter. You do 3 sets. Let's say you still take 2 minutes. Now you're at what? What's the math on that?
Well, we're over now.
Yep.
Yeah. We're done.
And I'm like, hey, all right, Kyle, I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm going to charge you $50 and you're going to get 2 exercises in. Have a good day. And you're like, hey, man, what should I do for the rest of the session? Now, a good trainer, or, it's going to say, hopefully they'll give you something to finish up with. But they're not paying attention to you anymore. They're on to the next person.
Yeah.
So while you're resting, why not I have your buddy work in with you? Why not I have somebody your height work in with you? Why not I have your wife come to the gym with you and she just squat on the squat rack beside you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, she doesn't need to train any differently than you do, So the weights are different. The rep ranges might be different. Y'all are both squatting.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm training both of you. And now instead of charging you $50 an hour, I'm charging you both $25 or whatever, however you want to look at it,
right?
Or however you want to break it down. And so all of a sudden the cost per client on you guys' end goes down, and then I'm able to train
more people at once,
5 or 6 people. But I'm also once again creating a family.
Mm-hmm.
So now what John's doing, and you're like, man, John will be really interesting to podcast with. He owns his own restaurant and has his pilot's license. Like,
which one is this?
Made that up.
Oh, you're just making. I was like, wait a minute.
Well, I need to.
I need that guy on.
Yeah, exactly. Though, but you meet that guy.
Yeah,
you meet that guy, and you would have never met that guy. Maybe you would have, but not to bring politics into it. Let's say you're this person, you're this side of the aisle, and you're this side of the aisle. Well, in the gym, neither one of you guys care about that shit,
right? Yeah.
So y'all chat, and all of a sudden you become friends.
Yeah.
And you bridge this gap that, like, right now is like
very wide.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So, or like whatever the situation may be, you start bridging gaps, and then like all of a sudden within a few training sessions, really, you're meeting people, and like right now, I'm like, don't let me go on my high horse. Right now, like I feel like there's not a lot of like inter-community hangout. Like people go to their work, they come home, they complain to their significant other. Hopefully they take their dog for a walk and they watch TV.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you have to go to the gym.
Right.
But let's
say the gym helps you meet people to go and like hang out with.
Like when I was dealing with that before, when I wasn't going to the gym, I'd go to the bar. I bounce at a lot of bars, I go to a bar, but like, I'm not saying anything about anybody that drinks, but like, let's be honest. Like if you're going to the bar every night for your social hour, you're staying like in your 20s, you can do that. Like creeping into your 30s, you're like, I can't be out till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, like maybe I'll go have one beer. But like, what if you meet John and you start talking to John at the bar, and next thing you know, you're like 6 beers deep. That's how it happens for me anyway. I'm like, I'm staying up all night. And then the next day at work, I'm like, so I feel like it gives people an outlet right now. And I don't think there's a lot of those. I don't think there's a lot of that going around. So it's neat, and it's really neat for me to see those people come together. So that's what I mean by inefficient. It's just me and you in a closed circuit
It's just better overall if you've got more people around.
Yeah, and like that's not to say like sometimes it works out. I'm training one person, like whatever. Like that's just how it is, you know.
And if I guess if you're training for something extremely specific,
yeah. So that
and I don't know, like if I'm thinking of like an Olympic athlete or something.
Yeah, so
that's completely different.
That's completely different. But I went to a seminar with Boris Shako.
Okay, I don't know who that is. But all right, I believe you.
Like considered by a lot of people one of the greatest powerlifting sport. Looking at powerlifting as a sport, not a hobby. Mm-hmm. They consider him probably Europe's best powerlifting coach ever.
Okay.
In America, we have like a bunch of guys. Like some guys are going to say Louis Simmons. Some guys are going to say these other families that are around. But like Boris is always going to be up there. Mm-hmm. Shako, he's got his own training style. Shako. Mm-hmm. He came to South Carolina, and so I drove down there to listen to him for like a 2-day seminar. Mm-hmm. And like it's all being translated from Russian, so like it's all lost in translation, whatever. But he tells a story, and he's in the Olympic. He used to do Olympic weightlifting for the Olympics. Mm-hmm. Powerlifting is not in the Olympics. Doesn't ever need to be in the Olympics. Whatever.
Really?
Yeah,
you wouldn't want it in the Olympics?
No, the Olympics are so dirty, and it's so like I want powerlifting to be like the Wild Wild West. Okay. It's a hobby.
Yeah, it's a hobby that can be monetized pretty. Yeah, if you get good at it.
Yeah, and like go enjoy it.
Yeah,
like people are like, "Oh, I'm going to go be in the Olympics." I'm like, "Are you?" Like,
you're going to train for 4 years and hopefully get in,
right? And like, you know, the better like that's a whole different discussion. But we don't need to be in the Olympics. So, but he worked with Olympic weightlifters for Russia, and he was like, "I'm in the training hall." He's like, I don't look at lifts under 80%. I'm
like under 80% under 80% of your max.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Like, what does he mean he doesn't look at lifts under 80%?
He's like, I'm not watching that.
Okay, so he's not, you mean like he's not standing by like watching
he's like,
he's training.
He's like, I've got 30, 40 athletes.
Yeah. You got it, Doug. You're fine.
70, 80, under 80%.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. Like back before this, I'd break my neck.
If you heard a client like starting to lift,
yeah, I'm like, you got to squat, and like while you're squatting, and then like, you know, like,
yeah.
But like, I heard him say that, and I like kind of asked him a question, like, what do you mean? He's like, well, your form should be good. And he's like, you should have done a good enough job as a coach with their form. That's 60, 70%. He's like, no, if you see something, correct it.
Yeah.
But like really, and like I started thinking about it, I'm like, and every other like college football players, NFL teams, pro teams, they've got a team of staff, they got a team of trainers, but there's still like, there's like 3 trainers, 4 trainers, 30, 40, 50 kids at a time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait a minute, why can't the private sector do this? Mm-hmm. Why does it have to be? And like, I don't know why, but I think it's money. But whatever. Like,
yeah.
It's whatever, you know.
Probably, yeah.
I mean,
I'd never heard of anybody training like you, and like until I met you.
Right.
And just speaking on you wanting to foster like a family environment.
Right.
Just by the way, been going to your gym for 2 weeks now.
Right.
I've been like 4 times in those 2 weeks because your boy was dying for a few days there. But in the short amount of time that I've been going there,
right.
I don't feel like I'm part of it.
Right.
You know, but I also don't feel like I'm being like looked at weird. I'm like, oh, kid. I walked in yesterday and with that girl who wasn't deadlifting.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Oh, which one?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
She had on the Sherlock Holmes like plaid baseball cap.
Oh my god.
You texted her. Yeah.
Elise. I texted her and I was like, please get back to work.
Yeah. So when I walked in, she like waved at me. I was like, hi, person. I don't know.
Right.
How are you?
Right.
Good to be here. That was cool.
Yeah, and like,
so congrats, you've done it.
I appreciate that, and like that's literally every time somebody comes in. I think I gave you the talk. I'm like, just don't be an asshole.
Yeah,
like I don't care what you believe in. I don't care who you pray to. Mm-hmm. I don't care any of that stuff. I really like. I hope that it's serving your life well.
Couldn't care less though.
But I could care less.
Yeah,
and if I can like help foster it, I got this girl that bakes. She's such a good fucking baker. I'm like, hey, like start doing your own business. Like you're good at this. Make some money off of it.
Yeah.
Even if it's a little bit of money, do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, do it.
You can sell cupcakes on the side for a long time before anybody notices that matters.
Right. Right. So like
make a little pocket change.
So like I'm there to foster whatever people want, like, you know, from that side of things, but I don't care. So I just want everybody together. And like you know, it's like you said, you don't feel like you're a part of it yet. You got to kind of earn that. That's another thing.
Right.
You got to kind of earn that a little bit.
I can feel that too.
You got to earn it. And like I think gyms, that's another thing I fucking hate. Is that okay to say?
Yeah.
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 I really fucking hate it. Like gyms go out of their way. They're like, no judgment zone. You know, you're safe here. You know, we don't allow this. Like you can't wear this. You can't do that. And I'm like, why?
Feels like I'm not safe here.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Raise your standards. Like, provide the environment that says, hey, like if you come in here, you're going to work.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, nobody gives a fuck about anything else. I got like one of my buddies, Matt. I call everybody my buddy that I train with, and like because they are like my family. Like Matt, like he's getting ready for a competition March 5th. We're trying to prep him. He works overnight. He bartends. He's tired. Like he's tired as shit. His schedule's different from everybody else. So, but for him to want to come in and train, he's got to get up and come train.
Yeah.
And he comes there and busts his ass. He doesn't give a shit what Kyle was doing. But if Kyle's in there working out with him, he's like, cool.
Yeah.
And he'll help him. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point in time, that's all that matters. You know? So, and I think, you know, that the girl that we were just talking about that was deadlifting, she came to me, I think she said this past Tuesday was her lifting anniversary with me, which is really fucking neat. I love when people like, it mean like, because like I said, I've said several times, it means a lot to me. So she's like, it's been a year, whatever. She came to me and she's like, I just want to be able to pick up stuff for work. And I'm like, Elise, we can do so much more than that. You know, like you can do so much more than that. She's like, this bag's 50 pounds and I can't pick it up. I'm
right.
like, dude, we're going to do that in like a month.
Yeah.
Like next month we'll have a new set of goals. So she deadlifted 230 for a set of 8 the other day. She weighs 100 pounds.
Yeah, I was going to say, she's a very small person.
She's a little person.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's double her body weight and some change. She'll probably pull 300 before the year's over.
That's crazy.
At 100 pounds. And like, she comes in and works. She hangs out. Like her workout probably, and that's another thing we go back to the whole pulling back into like the session thing. Like, man, at 30 minutes, I don't even know what you've done today. So like, if you were to pay all this money to come to a gym and in 30 minutes you're kicked out of it. What am I doing for you? I'm not like, what if you don't have a home to go to? What if you don't have like a good family to come home to? Whatever. So, and I'm not saying any of this about Elise, by the way.
Yeah, I got
but
you.
But you know, she comes and hangs out.
Yeah.
And it takes her workout a little bit longer, maybe. Like, I don't care. I got enough space. She's working out.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell her, like, it's funny. I text her the other day. I was like, hey, because I knew I had people coming in that needed deadlift.
Hilarious.
I'm like, hey, get back to work. But so, and now she's got all these people inside the gym that care about her and she cares about them. And so when you come in, she waves at you and she's like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
And like, so I remember her texting me like 2 months into work. She's like, I just picked up this bag. I was like, was it hard? And she's like, no, not at all.
Yeah.
She's like, I can work alone now. Before she had to have somebody on staff with her work because she needed help.
That's awesome that she was like,
yeah,
like, I can't pick this shit up. I need to be able to. Did she know you before that? Or she just like seek out the gym or what?
Shout out to Smash Waffles.
Yeah. She works there, right?
Yeah. So like I go there and do a lot of my like programming work and read, and I just get away from the gym. And I was just sitting in there one day writing out workouts, and she's like, hey, can I ask you a question? Like, yeah, sure. What's up? She didn't really know me. She knew me, but like she knew me enough to ask me a question when nobody was in there.
Yeah.
She's like, can you give me some workout pointers? I'm like, of course. What do you need to know? She's like, I'm like, you don't know what you need.
I have no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, do you have equipment? No. Can you go to EC's gym? No. can you do a push-up? No. Literally, I was like, okay. In the back of my head, I'm like, I have no clue. I know how to approach this, but like without me like overwatching it, how do I approach this?
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, this is gonna sound real weird. But can you be at my house tomorrow at 4:00? And she's like,
get away from me.
Yeah. She's like, yeah. I'm like, I promise, like, whatever. And then I like stuck my foot in my mouth. I was like, it'll just be me and you. Nobody else will be there. And I'm like, oh God, I'm just
it'll just be my 300-pound ass.
And you.
And your 100-pound ass.
Yeah. And like, but I can see like, she's not running for the door calling the cops, you know? And so she shows up and it was legitimately just supposed to be me and her. Because like, she's never worked out. I want her to feel, it's important to feel comfortable, like certain things. Like, I don't think you have to put your whole thing around, but it's important for that.
She brought a friend for protection.
No, she showed up by herself. She texted me. She's like, I'm here. I'm like, come inside the house.
Yeah.
She's like, So I opened the garage door and she walks in. Well, the problem was my workout ran over. So Montrell was there. And Montrell's a very large, athletic black man. You know, like
she's just like, oh like, God.
Okay, there's this bearded, tattooed asshole, this enormous mountain of a man, Montrell, and I'm maxing out on bench for the first time in forever. So I have 475, and then I like to listen to like Tyler Childers when I max out.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I was listening to what's the song?
I know Nose on the Grindstone.
I like Nose on the Grindstone. This is a love song, actually.
Really?
Oh.
Is it just him or is it a duet?
It's just him.
Him and Coulter Wall did a duet. It's really good.
This has like one of the lyrics is like hickory falling through the anyway, whatever. So there's bluegrass coming out of this. Me and Montrell are in there. I'm smelling, sniffing salts. I'm like, I don't yell a lot when I lift, but like during the reps I maybe do, but like beforehand I'm pretty intense, but just not outwardly intense.
Yeah.
And she's just sitting there with her arms crossed. Like,
okay.
The fuck have I done?
What did I get myself into?
I know she's probably thinking, at least there's gym equipment here. Like,
yeah.
You know. And then one of my good friends comes in and she's all tatted up. Long extensions in her hair, just like walks in like, what the fuck are we doing today? And I'm like, hey, like,
do I know her? Is it what's her name?
It's Nicole.
Nicole. What's her last name? I spelled it wrong.
Qualls.
I did a video for somebody and she was in it. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. And Nicole's really strong.
Yeah.
Nicole's really strong and she's very motivated when she goes to the gym. So like she comes in, she wants to get her workout, she wants to get to work, whatever. And she talks a lot of shit to me. We talk a lot of shit to each other. It's just our relationship. So Nicole comes in. She's like, whatever. And then Nicole's husband walks in, Brandon. And he's like all tatted up. And Elise and Brandon at least know each other, you know. But he's like, all these, I call them assholes. It's all these assholes of like people that just have different personalities and are very like, I mean, everybody in that room was successful. So you're all expecting something. Y'all have expectations about life, everything else, and you can feel it. You can feel it in the air when that's like that. And poor Elise over there going,
I just want to be able to pick up a bag of flour, man.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I start teaching her how to squat. She never squatted before.
Yeah.
So teach her how to squat that day. I'm like, all right, you can come back tomorrow. I'm like, she's never coming back. Fuck if she didn't show up the next day.
Yeah.
And then the next day and the next day. And we open the gym up. She's like, can I add another day in? Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
And so, and just gets it in and like works hard. I'm like, you know what?
When she's not on her phone.
Right. But that is like, those stories are like worth all of it.
That's awesome.
Really,
when you teach somebody how to squat, when I first started working out, I thought like I always did high bar because it's all I knew.
Right.
Like when I would squat.
Right.
And fucking sucks. Like I could do it now, but I don't want to. Like I really don't. But low bar squats would fuck my shoulder up.
So,
but like when you teach somebody how to squat, you immediately go like high bar, like to strengthen? Is it like strengthen the lower back or whatever?
So like one, low bar sucks.
Really?
All you low bar fanboys, you suck.
Why? Is it because it's easier?
No, like so.
It's easier for me to lift more.
So yeah, you can. Some people, depending on how you're built.
Mm-hmm.
So like lifting's a game of like leverages and how you're built.
Yeah.
So like I've got short, squatty little legs and a long ass torso.
Same.
But you're not. You're
right, but like I'm saying, like my torso is a lot longer than my legs.
So, but for me, it's such a disproportionate part of me. Mm-hmm. Low bar is actually very hard for me.
Really?
So, I mean, not.
I get you.
Yeah.
It's more difficult than high bar.
Yeah, and it kills my shoulders.
Yeah.
So, like, it gives me elbow tendonitis, kills my shoulders, and it wrecks my lower back.
But I can lift more doing low bar.
Yeah.
Does all that for me, too.
So, I usually, when I'm teaching somebody how to squat, I legitimately, like, I teach them how to get them a bodyweight squat first. It's really neat with the belt squat now. Like, I could teach you how to bodyweight squat with a little bit of load.
Yeah.
Without you having to worry about a bar, you know? So I'll teach them how to bodyweight squat, and then we'll go to like a goblet squat, and then we'll either front squat them, depending on their shoulders, or maybe I'll add in like a safety squat bar. That way you don't have to worry about this. Because once like you can have somebody crush a goblet squat, like I've had people come in and like goblet squat almost their body weight. Like a lady, you know.
I was like, how?
Right. Like, so like I've had girls come in and like, they're like 110 pounds, 115 pounds. They're like goblet squat in the 70s.
Nice.
Like, you know.
Yeah.
And then I put a bar on their back and they're like,
yeah.
It's just because it just feels weird at first.
Yeah. It's a lot different. Leverage.
Yeah. So first time I put on a bar, I'm like, just get up underneath there. Wherever you want to hit.
Whatever's comfortable.
And some people will put it low, some people will put it high.
If they load it like right on top of their shoulders, like kind of on the top,
you're
just like no, not that.
Yeah, like I'll usually come up behind them and put my hand on a little knot back there and be like, hey, like don't have the bar sit there, because it's uncomfortable.
That's your spine,
right?
Yeah, you don't want 300 pounds on that.
Yeah,
eventually,
don't
get used to this.
So, that's like the only thing, and then I get there. Obviously, there's more that goes into it. I don't just put the bar on it, but
you just that's how Skyler trains everybody. He's just, hey, look, do whatever you want, man.
Just squat.
Yeah, just
bend your knees. But like, this when we opened up the Foundry, we had somebody local come in. They're like, I loved it. They came in. She was like, I go fuck about losing weight, looking better. I just want to get strong as fuck. And I was like, fuck yes. Fuck yes.
Do you have friends?
Right.
Do they have the same goals?
Right. I'm like, I'm a fucking, if you stick with this, I'm going to love you so much.
Yeah.
So when I was teaching her how to squat, she was putting the bar a little bit lower, just out of instinct. And I was like, look, this is going to kill your shoulders. Like if it feels comfortable, do it. But like you want to compete. And I was like, I'll tell you from experience, going in low bar squatting and then trying to bench afterwards is the fucking worst.
Can you low bar with a safety bar? Like,
So they make the transformer bar that we have at the gym that's made by Kabuki Strength. Okay. It's the funky looking. It looks like a safety squat bar.
Okay.
But the you can change the loading of the pin. Like there's the pins on the side, and you can rotate them back, so you can put the distribution of the weight real far back.
Okay.
And then there's a bar called a Mars bar, MARRS, and it's legit like. You hold the handles here, and the bar is like midway of your back.
Whoa!
And it's just for low bar squatting.
Wow!
So that way you can get the load without beating your elbows up.
Yeah.
I didn't go with that one purely because the transformer bar does front squat, goblet squat, high bar, like everything you need. But I think like the squat is like we start with a squat. If I can teach anybody how to squat, and then we work our way from there, because. Once you learn the basics of rooting, bracing, so like rooting's your feet, what to do with your feet, how to control your feet, then
explain why that's important for people who don't know?
So your contact with your foot and the floor kind of sets, to be real simple about it, sets like everything else up.
Yeah, obviously in a squat that's important,
Right.
but like it translates to other lifts.
So like with a squat, it's set, obviously you're squatting on your fucking feet.
Yeah.
So like, duh.
It's very important to have your feet on the floor for a
So
squat.
that force feedback to your brain is going, okay, you're stable, you can lift, you're good. What people don't realize about the bench is the bench is a full body lift as well. And when you set that tension through the floor and you're driving your tension through your legs, up through your body, onto your traps, you're able to lift a lot more, and you're able to set the shoulder in a better position and keep it pinned so it's safer. And then with the deadlift, it's the same thing as the squat. A little bit different mechanic in that as how you want to set up your feet, but still the same idea. You're making contact with the floor. Your body's going, okay, we're in good position. We're set. We're braced. We've got tension through our body. Now we can lift.
The best thing that I ever got in my head when it came to lifting involving my feet was not that I'm trying to lift this thing up, is that I focus on my feet pushing down.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking about it like I'm on my back pushing up.
Right.
You know
For
what
like
I mean?
for like a deadlift or for
Anything
yeah,
that's
yeah.
like my bench, not really. Like I do obviously push with my
Right.
feet and everything.
Right.
But like squat and deadlift, it's not I'm trying to pick this thing up. It's I'm trying to push away, and
So-
that helps me set my form a little better.
Right.
And
So one thing I found too so I break the squat down or break whatever lift down, just use the squat down into different. So we talk about the feet, we talk about your glutes, your trunk, shoulders typically. So it's 4 things, right? 4 or 5 things. And typically when I'm teaching the squat at first, I'm hammering that. So then people stop worrying about like, hey, there's a weight on my back. Hey, there's 300 pounds on my back, whatever weight it is. Because, like you said, you think about pushing the floor away from you.
Yeah.
But for, someone that's never squatted before, they're worried about that bar and they're focused on the bar. But instead, if I can get them to focus on their feet, their stomach, their glutes, and all of a sudden they're not thinking about the bar.
the bar's glued to you at that
Right.
point.
And they're in a good position.
Yeah.
And then, eventually we walk them to where they're not those reps have been hammered in so much and layered in so much, they're not thinking about them anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's just happening and they're not really worried about it. But then they've got pretty strong without ever have to worry about the bar on their back. So they're not thinking about loading that either. So it kind of serves 2 purposes.
It's a foundational thing. It's like, I feel like everything in life works the same way. Not to get like oddly philosophical here.
No.
Hey man, it's just like life, man.
It is.
It is like everything I've done up to this point has been done by me going, okay, I don't know how the fuck I'm going to do this, but I know that in order to do that,
I've got
to do whatever I'm trying to do, I have to do these things.
Yep.
And I don't necessarily, in lifting, you have to get to a point where you're doing it well, but like you just get the foundation,
if you can
solid enough.
Oversimplifying life here, but like if you can get the foundation of anything down and hammer it,
just keep doing it.
it's like we talked about with you taking photos, right? Like there's a lot of cool jazzy shit out there. Looking at all these people that use chains and they don't ever touch the floor. There's a lot of cool jazzy shit out there, but you can do a lot with just taking a photo and making it look really well, framing it well, getting whatever qualities you look for in a photo and getting them to pop out. And then like all the editing shit, was the saying you can't put lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
You take a shitty photo.
You can make the colors look nice.
Right.
Yeah. But if you don't have it, if it's not done well in camera, then it's
right.
Yeah. And I believe that about everything.
Right.
Like this podcast, for instance, when I started it, everything but the equipment you see, like the microphones and stuff,
right.
all this stuff, I started with that. Like I just jumped.
You're like, all right, we're going.
I'm going to fucking do it. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Right.
Because like I've said this before I started this, when I was just thinking about it, because I chewed on it for like a month before I just was like, all right, fuck it. Here we go.
A month.
It was just a month. It might have been 2 weeks, man. I was being generous, to be honest. Like I'm compulsive.
I want to do this. I'm doing it.
Yeah. That's kind of how I've always done that.
It's I don't hate that.
Yeah. It's kind of like for instance, I was like, I need to, like, about a week before I ran into you at Catch, I was like, I need to get back in the gym. And then you there, I was like, oh, fuck, I'm gone.
Hey, you want to hear some weird shit?
Yeah.
So like a week before I saw you in Catch, I was like, I saw, it may have been Kate's clip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was around that time, maybe. I was like, man, I really like podcasts. I don't know that guy, but that might be something cool to do. Legitimately.
That's cool.
No shit. Like, and I was like, oh, he takes pretty good photos too. Like, no shit at all.
Dude, look at that.
And I was like, well, I don't want to. I was like thinking in the back of my head, I was like, hey man, you should interview me. Like,
yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
But I'm like, that would be kind of cool. I like podcasts.
I've had a couple of those.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm never that guy. Like, I was like, you know. So that day you're at Catch, I was like, fuck yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's weird. It's weird, right? How that works.
Yeah. Universe at work, man. But yeah, that's how I am. Like if I'm going to do it, I make sure that the building blocks are there to do it properly. Right. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Right.
And this, that applies to lifting. And it's weird, like hearing you say that. That's just another thing that I put on the list of like, yep, that follows my formula.
Yep.
Like everything is like that.
Yep.
Everything.
Right.
It's a great philosophy to follow.
I don't think there's anything you can do that you can't at least be well versed in the basics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I asked one of my buddies, he's got a, like, I wish you could talk to Derek. So he's a physical therapist so it's kind of neat. We met at a Kabuki seminar back in like 2014, 2015. It was a physical therapy. It was like learning how to teach the squat, bench, deadlift, and clean and snatch, but also learning like some physical therapy aspects of it and why it matters to do things this way, why it matters. Like I was learning that from Chris Duffin at the time by just correspondence with him on like, he was big, but he wasn't so big that he didn't have time to respond. And like Chris is a really nice guy. And so like he was like, hey man, you need to do this with your squat. Like try this. We're going back and forth. And then he came to Asheville. And so I went there. I was like, I don't care how much it fucking costs. I'm going to go learn from this guy. Mm-hmm. And they put me in with all the physical therapists that came. And we're in our little groups. And they're like, all right, we're going to go around the circle and you're going to introduce yourself.
Were you wearing a tank top and shorts?
Yeah.
Were they?
No.
Polos and khakis? Please.
They were in, one of them was in like, two of them were in gym gear. Oh, okay. One was like, had just gotten there and was like in like khakis and like a nice shirt.
He just left his job.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And so, Derek, so we're going around one guy's fucking like Navy medical, going to school to be a physical therapist out of the Navy. Other guy runs his own physical therapy place with like a focus on athletics and like young kids sports or whatever, adolescents. And Derek was there. So Derek was the head of physical therapy for the fucking Florida Gators. And then they get to me and I'm like, I'm a strength trainer at Greenville, North Carolina. And they're like, let this fucking idiot in. So it was great because they knew all the technical terms from physical therapy. Like we would be going over something and like, they're like, this is it. This is how you do it. Mm-hmm. And like, then I was having to learn hands-on with them. So I keep in touch with Derek. He ends up going to being the head of like research for kids at Stanford for fucking sports.
Dude.
And then starts his own company called Barbell Medicine, which they do like online training, physical therapy, consulting, all these type of different roles. They're coming to the Foundry in May to do a seminar about pain management and how to all this stuff. I think Derek lives in like Cincinnati now.
Is he coming to Foundry?
Yes.
So, you said you wish I could talk to him.
Right.
He'll be here in May.
Right. We try to get it
Let's do that.
Yeah, let's try to get it set up.
Yeah.
Loves whiskey.
Love both of you on. Why not?
Loves whiskey. It's like a huge hipster, makes his own beer.
Nice.
Like just like super interesting guy, right?
Yeah.
And then, so we stay in touch, right? And as I'm learning all these little basics, I keep seeing him popping up with like, he's cooking these fucking crazy ass meals.
Mm-hmm.
They look really fucking good. And what he does is he has a lot of different thoughts about, he kind of looks at physical therapy the same way as I look at like the fitness industry. And those are kind of the same thing. They're starting to meld into the same things. Mm-hmm. But he's like, there's a lot of fluff around physical therapy and like taking people's money. He's like, there's a lot of fluff around fitness and taking people's money and like bullshit. So I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And so he makes these like weird, he'll be like, hey, we're going to work on whatever it is, whatever muscle it is today. And he uses some technique while he's cooking to show that like it doesn't work. You know, he's like, you got this gigantic hunk of meat and you're trying to say that you're going to move this tissue with this exercise. He's like, does this tissue look like it's going to fucking, you know, like,
yeah.
And so he's funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, what are you, like, you're cooking a lot. Like, when do you work? And he's like, oh, I don't really do physical therapy like in a clinic that much anymore. I'm like, well, he's like, I just got fucking fed up with it. Mm-hmm. You know, he's like, I was like, all right, so what are you doing? He's like, oh, I went down to the butcher the other day and I walked in and I was like, I want to learn how to be a butcher. And the guy laughed at him. And he was like, all right, come back tomorrow morning. I'll show you how to be a butcher.
Mm-hmm. This is the Derek guy. And he's just like.
So he's learning how to be a butcher. And so I messaged him one day. I'm like, hey, man, where did you learn how to cook like that? And he like he had posted books about cooking. Mm-hmm. I was like, where should I start with this? Because I enjoy cooking, but I suck at it. You know, like I can cook a good steak and a few other things. That's about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't need to look at any of those books. He sent me a link. He's like, this is where I started. It's a bunch of basics.
Yeah.
I'm like, of course this motherfucker
right.
would know what the basics were. And it's a long-winded story about physical therapy and everything else about basics.
Yeah. I thought you were going to tie it into like he just did it. Like he was just like, I'm going to do that.
Oh, no, that's what.
Okay.
Legitimately, yeah. He was like, I wanted to be better at cooking, so I just started reading this book, and it was just the like I said, the basics of this, and he just started it. Just like he did with being a butcher or brewing his own beer. He brews his own beer.
This dude's like all over the place.
Awesome dude.
My kind of guy.
Awesome dude.
Yeah.
He just had his firstborn, and like he's run rag. He's, you know, new parent or whatever. And I'll text him like, hey man, I can't figure this out. I'm sorry. And he's like, dude, why are you saying you're sorry? Like, just
because you're busy, man.
Right. And he's like, I can answer a text.
Yeah.
You know, so
if you want to learn more about if you want to learn more about cooking, I highly suggest binging with Babish on YouTube.
I don't know if I've ever heard that.
So binging with Babish, actually I think it's called Babish Culinary Universe now. But it's a guy named Andrew Ray started a YouTube channel a few years ago. And I started watching he started originally making videos of him making food from movies and TV shows and stuff, like really famous meals. Like one of them is I think it's lasagna from Goodfellas that they make in the prison, you know, and he makes it exactly like that, like they make it in the show. And then sometimes he'll make it exactly like that. And then he'll go, I think we can do better kind of thing.
Right.
Let's make it better.
Right.
He started doing that. And that was binging with Babish. Okay. And then he started doing basics with Babish.
Okay.
And that's where, 2 years ago, maybe more now, probably maybe 3, I learned how to cook from that. Like I already, like as a fat kid myself, your boy knew how to make some fire Chef Boyardee. Like I could throw down with some spices and a slice of cheese on top, buddy. Ooh.
Right.
So I, like flavor wise, I was all right, but I was like, I don't know how to like actually make these things.
Right. You couldn't make ravioli from scratch.
Yeah. And I had no idea how to actually use a knife.
Right.
You know, until I watched that and I was like, oh, that's why my pointer finger hurt all the time because I was using it like this.
Yeah,
and
it makes way more sense.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I would check that out.
Basics with Babish.
Yeah, if you search
whatever,
if you search Babish, it'll come up. You'll find the channel and you'll see the playlist of all the basics videos. It's really good. Like he goes in depth about like dough, like how to make dough, like for multiple different things. You know, how to fry a chicken, how to completely prepare a chicken, like a whole chicken carcass, you know,
Right,
like how to
right.
break it down,
Right.
Basics about knives, like everything.
Right.
Yeah. And right now I think he's up into like 100 something episodes of basics now. So it's a lot. I'd say start at the beginning.
You would
probably-
think,
yeah.
not the latest one.
No. He's probably in some more advanced techniques at this point. You should be able to use a knife. So maybe start there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably a good point. Good point.
You're a huge nerd,
I am.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, that wasn't an insult. That was I know that.
You could try to insult me with it. I'm like, what are you?
You're right.
You're not a fucking nerd.
Yeah. Do you know we were talking about the show that when Josh and Brighton come on, that's Fanatic now.
Right,
They come
right.
on. And that's a normal episode of the podcast, basically.
Right.
But it's got a different name and a whole different not a whole different intro. It's like the same intro until the music kicks in, and it's like some like 80s game music. And the episodes are called Nerd Stuff. Yeah, we do need to get you on.
Yeah,
I'm looking at buying a fourth camera because fucking why not? I might as well go ahead. I found a cheap one on eBay.
Just do
I
it.
was like, I'm probably going to buy that.
Just do it.
Yeah. And you'll be right here, bud.
Beside you,
Yeah.
holding hands.
We can do that. We can make that happen.
That's the only way.
So you grew up like reading comics and like,
Yeah. So
because I didn't really become what I would consider to be like a super nerd about not a super nerd. Sorry, Josh and Brighton. They're super nerds. Like they are really deep into it. You guys would run circles around me, I'm sure.
Look, so here's the thing. Like I read a lot. Sorry.
Yeah.
I read,
No, you're good. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Go ahead and do it. Yeah,
Just go ahead and adjust it.
You've been pushing it up, and that was the last straw.
That was it.
I'm protecting you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
So I read a lot.
Mhm.
Like if it doesn't necessarily have to be comics.
Mhm.
Like I just read a lot. So with comics, there's so many of them
Mhm.
that I forget a lot of shit, or I get shit crossed up. So like if they're on like that level of stuff, I'm like, yeah, I read that. I don't remember it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so much.
They're both like encyclopedias. Josh more so than Brighton, but Brighton is like still elite level.
Right.
Like
right.
in my head, you know,
Right,
he
right.
knows a lot.
Right.
I was a big Spider-Man nerd, like as a kid.
I'm sorry.
At one point, what? Spider-Man's great, man. I don't know if it was like because
Everybody loves Spider-Man as a kid, man.
yeah,
Everybody does. And like,
yes. I wonder if it's because of like the original purpose of that superhero was to be relatable.
yeah, 100%.
I never thought about it like that though.
Yeah, Stan Lee was like, I'm going to put a mask on this kid.
I was just like, he's cool.
He can be whatever. He can be whoever, whatever.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
It was.
I was
mean,
an insecure little boy.
Stan Lee was awesome at creating stuff, you know? So, no, I started reading. I had a speech impediment.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that right?
Yeah,
I usually fuck it up. So,
that's ironic. What, if you don't mind me asking, what was the speech? Because I couldn't even pick it out.
yeah, so like all these teeth came in rotted
Mm.
and then they fell out or they removed them.
Mm-hmm.
And then so like when I'm learning how to read and speak as a kid, I didn't have anything to push my tongue up against. So I would say like Skyler.
Oh, okay.
And
I gotcha.
It affected everything.
Yeah.
And then I married a speech and language pathologist to cover up for my childhood shortcomings. And it like they legitimately thought I was like learning disabled.
Yeah.
They're like, this kid can't
Can't
even say his
read.
name. Like,
Yeah.
and it was just I think I was probably a little bit embarrassed
Mhm.
to read out loud
Yeah.
and like couldn't. And then like they put me in like all these class, like they got me a speech language pathologist,
Mhm.
you know, to work on it. And then they got through the school, and then they put me in reading recovery because they're like, God, this dumb little kid.
Jesus Christ. Like, I just need teeth, man.
Right.
I just need my teeth.
So like
I can talk.
it turns out like, and my mom was like, my mom loves to read.
Uh-huh.
Like she can read circles around me. And so she was like, fuck, my kid can't even fucking read, you know? And so once I started going to that reading class, my mom started getting me comic books.
Mm.
And she was like, would read them with me. And so then like it created a bond between my mom loves comics now,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it created a bond with us. And then it also gave me like confidence to read and like enjoy it. And I think I just fell in love with it.
What was your jam?
X-Men,
It wasn't Spider-Man.
X-Men.
Oh, you and Josh.
Wolverine.
You and Josh.
Wolverine.
That was Josh.
I was like short. I was the short kid.
Yeah.
You know, like I just wanted to be.
Kind of built like Wolverine is
Yeah.
supposed to be.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
like I was like all about it, you know, and like, he had like a little bit of an attitude. And I didn't have an attitude.
But you were like, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like I was the quiet kid in the corner that was like picked on. And I was like, fucking,
It was like, man, if all these people weren't around,
right. No,
yeah,
not at all.
Fantasizing about beating the shit out of some kid.
Not even. I don't even think I would be. I think I was like, if I could, it'd be nice to be able to, but not.
Definitely feel it. I got slapped in the face in middle school. I literally took a slap in the face.
Bro, I had a girl spit in my face.
Fuck that. That would have been. I would have I was going to say, I was going to make a joke and say especially because it was a girl, and I know I can take them. But if I was a kid, yeah.
No, like she we were in lunch line, and she like cut through the lunch line. Her first day at school, and I was like, hey, like she can't. Like we've been waiting in line. She turns around, just spits in my face.
Like, all right, you can do that, I guess.
I'm like,
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, like I loved Wolverine. I loved the X-Men. And then there was this little antique store down from our house that would just get like random comics in. The owner of it would go out to these buys or whatever, and they just buy whatever.
Yeah.
And they come back and sell the comics for like $1.
Did you ever get lucky?
Fuck no.
No.
I look back
at find anything just like
I went back. I remember going to my parents' house years ago and like looking at my comic stash. I was like, y'all let me buy this? Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this? But my sister dated a dude in high school, and he was also a huge comic nerd. And I really apologize because I fucked up your comics. He had like an original Infinity Gauntlet, like the one with Thanos on the cover.
Oh no!
He had like a Superman dies, like one of the like top like 50 run. Like I went back to my house, like I said, a couple of years ago, and like was going through my closet and just found him like,
oh no,
just laying on the floor, like bent all up and fucked up. And, like,
I mean, they're probably still worth something,
but like
not what they could be.
None of them were in the bags and boards.
Just moldy.
Like
that's not good.
And I remember just looking at it and being like, realistically, who would have known? Realistically, would I kept them? Like, but you're still standing there going,
God, man, it's $10,000 I just wasted right there.
I mean, at worst, like $25 a pop or something.
Yeah, I was thinking Infinity, like
there's
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a no telling.
Yeah, I told you I cleaned all this shit out,
right?
Like the studio, and I forgot, like when I was cleaning everything out, I saw a box and I was like, what the fuck is in this box? And I opened it and I was like, oh shit. It's just all my like sketchbooks and comic books.
Yeah.
And I need to go through it. It's just chilling in there.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I forgot this is in there. And most of them are like Ultimate Spider-Man comics. Right. So like nothing like super old or anything. Right. Bunch of reprints of like some valuable things.
Yep.
But yeah, I was like, Ultimate Spider-Man #1. Like I have that original comic book sleeved in the everything. Right. I was very meticulous about that for some reason as a child.
I wish somebody would have told me.
I don't even know. I didn't do it because I thought they were going to be valuable. I was just like, I don't want them to get fucked up. I didn't like messy things as a kid. Yeah, I didn't like other kids playing in the dirt. I'm like, no, I'm good. Hard pass on that.
There's a word for it anyway.
So I just didn't like getting like. I was like, like even now, I always use this analogy. It's weird, but like if I get something sticky like jelly or something on the back of my hand, it freaks me out. Not like like oh my God, I need to wash it off right now. Right. It's just like this is gross.
I get a mild annoyance about stuff like that.
Yeah,
like if I grab a fork.
Yeah,
and it's got but then like it feels like I can never get it. Like like go wash your hands. And you're like
It's so weird. It's only with like sticky stuff for me. Like it's not like I'm working with my dad on this truck right now. He's trying to get running. It's running, but we're putting a lift on it. It's a rusty old truck, and everything keeps breaking because we're trying to take parts off that haven't been removed since 1993.
Right.
I don't mind like getting super greasy, like having like grease and crap all over my arms and like metal shavings and stuff. Like that doesn't bother me. But God forbid jelly get on my hand.
Man, as a kid, it still fucks with me to this day. When you're washing dishes and the bridge of your shirt gets a little wet. Bro. Like if I never had to feel that again, I'd be okay with that.
I'm really tall, so I don't have to be that close to the sink.
Well,
I was just thinking about it when you said it. I was like, that hasn't happened to me in a long time.
that's cool. It's real cool.
How tall are you?
5'8".
That's not short.
It's not tall either.
Yeah. Isn't that average?
It's like an inch above average.
Yeah.
It's,
You're good.
I'm above average.
Being this tall it's not all it's cracked up to be. I got a lot of back pain, a lot of joint pain I shouldn't have.
Me too.
Oh, well, you also but you're putting like 500 pounds on your back.
No. You're right.
I'm just like,
you're like a Great Dane.
I'm just,
You're
I'm not going to live as long.
You're like a Great Dane.
Yeah, exactly.
Great Danes are cool though.
Right.
They're fucking cool animals. Mastiffs, they're cool.
I want a Mastiff so bad, but we can't. Unless we get like a poodle Mastiff, like something that's hypoallergenic.
If you get a poodle Mastiff, you're kicked out of the gym. That's a no-go.
Yeah. That would be cool though. Think about that. Think about a Mastiff, but like it's covered in carpet.
Think about if you just got a Mastiff.
Right, but then my wife can't breathe. I happen to like her.
Oh,
quite a bit,
in that case, don't get a Mastiff.
Yeah.
Is there another hypoallergenic?
Hypoallergenic. So like Maltese.
Skinless cat?
We've thought about that, but they're fucking creepy.
I'd come over here all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we had 2 cats, and the Madison, if you're listening, we had 1 cat and no other animals. We may have had 2 cats and a puppy at one point. And then Crystal, she hadn't been able to breathe right, like through her nose for like 2 years. And we kind of like thought about it one day. I was like, how long have we had the cats? And I thought back and I was like, oh, it's been like 2 years. And this came on because every time she would go back home,
She'd get better.
yeah. And so we were like, oh shit, I think you're probably allergic to the cats. And like, it got worse when we got the puppy because
Right.
we live here when we weren't technically supposed to have the puppy. So leaving him in the crate as a puppy who was screaming all night, just begging for us to get like reported. I was like, that's not going to happen.
Right.
So he was in the bed and she got worse. And we're like, okay, you're definitely allergic to something.
Yeah,
So-
you were smothering her with
Yeah.
like
Little dander monster.
Yeah.
Yeah. She went to the doctor, had an allergy test, and turns out she's allergic to the world. And she's highly allergic to cats and dogs. She's also allergic to albuterol, which is asthma medication. So if she develops asthma, nothing we can really do. So yeah, they went to the parents' house.
Fun fact, Matt at the gym is highly allergic to cats.
Yeah.
Like he comes to our house and like if he doesn't, he comes in and takes Benadryl.
He just walks in, grabs a Benadryl, and is like, all right, I'm ready.
His eyes start to puff up. So we lived together. Me, him, and Thor lived together before I moved in with Carrie. And Matt would never come out of his room because I had my 2 cats.
Yeah.
Well, then like one day he came out. He was like shooting the shit with me on the couch, and he like was rubbing Boba's back. And then like a few seconds later, his contact acted up, and he was like,
"Oh,
not thinking about it." Well, I left. Like I was like, I gotta go, man. I'll talk to you later. He sends me a Snapchat. He's driving to Publix, and he looks like Will Smith
in Hitch.
His face is
because he touched his eye.
He's like, I can't see.
Yeah.
He's like, and this is before you could order like stuff through like DoorDash, like
right
before you could order Benadryl through DoorDash.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bro,
you shouldn't be driving. I could have just came home.
He sent me a video, and he's like.
It's like, not good.
Like this dude's gonna die.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Are you allergic to anything?
Probably.
You just haven't found it yet? Yeah,
like I have horrible allergies. When I first got COVID, I just thought it was a sinus infection.
Yeah.
My doctor thought it was a sinus infection.
I have weird allergies, or I did as a kid. I was allergic to nickel.
I can't breathe right now.
I don't know. It's hot in here.
No, it's like legitimately like it's just, I got a massage earlier.
Oh.
And like.
You think they have a cat?
No,
you're not allergic to cats.
Yeah. Like I probably am. Like so like, but I have to lay face down part of it. Mm-hmm. And like every time I get out of there, I'm like.
Yeah.
And like it usually clears out, but like something else pissed it off before I came. So like I tried to shower before coming over here to like to clear it out.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate you showering.
Yeah, I didn't want to come over here and smell like asshole.
Yeah.
When it got so bad like 6 months ago that I was taking 2 Benadryl a night, neti pot.
Okay, like it's like a steam thing.
Yeah, you like pour it through your nose to clear it out.
Okay.
So I take Benadryl, pour the neti pot, clean everything out, nasal spray, and I get up in the morning, pop 2 24-hour allergy meds, and I go to work.
Dude, that's rough.
David was like, "Hey man, you can't be taking that much Benadryl before bed."
Because you're like your dreams were great.
He was like, I was like, "Why?" And he's like, it's not good for your sleep. He's like, you're sleeping, but you're not like sleeping.
Yeah.
Just drugging yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, fuck. So I found out now if I just neti pot and nasal spray and then like take hot showers, it helps.
I think you might be allergic to cats.
No. It's not possible.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
If you're not as bad as she was, and if you're not allergic to asthma, she hallucinates. Like she'll hallucinate and it's not good. Not a good hallucination.
I was like, what are we doing?
No, not a good. When they found out, she, I think she was having an asthma attack, and or they thought she might be, and her 2 sisters have asthma.
So they gave her
one of their inhalers, and she ended up in the bathtub with her parents, like trying to convince her that there weren't spiders crawling all over her. Yeah, not good hallucinations. Not like finding yourself.
Not the good trip.
No, no.
So Carrie, my wife had, we met, the cats were not living here at this time.
Mm-hmm.
She got this little like catch,
mm-hmm.
and like, went on for like, and then like it started getting where she had like these coughing fits.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, babe, you sound like you're dying. It went on for like a year. She's hard-headed and stubborn as fuck. So I'm like, hey, you need to go to the doctor. Because the doctor, she had full-blown fucking asthma. Was just coughing her way through it for a year.
Wow. Yeah. That's not safe.
Fuck no.
Yeah. I think my dad, I think he has asthma, but he's always like, he's just like me and my brother. Like, we don't have chins, and so like we kind of are like this,
right?
You know, this goatee is an illusion. This gives me a chin, but you know, same thing. Yeah,
I've got a little bit of a chin.
Yeah, but because of the way our heads are shaped, we snore really bad, and breathing isn't our best quality.
Bro to bro, you need to do like 2 or 3 things. Go to the ENT doctor and start nasal breathing before that.
You mentioned you do like a piece of tape on your mouth or something, right?
Like a little baby piece of medical tape.
The problem is when I go to bed sometimes, my sinuses do not allow me to breathe through my nose.
You got to get a neti pot. Look, bro.
Oh, man, what?
Neti pot.
A whole routine.
Yeah, you'll feel so much better.
Really?
I promise. So I'm not like, I don't know, like there's this book about breathing. I think it's called Breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy goes into nasal breathing. And like there's a study out of Stanford. I don't know enough to quote it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they, for the purpose of the book, they track this guy's blood pressure and a bunch of other people's blood pressure, nasal breathing at night and not nasal breathing at night. And like mouth breathing. And like it's night and day. Nasal breathing drops their blood pressure by like a significant amount.
Really?
And you have high blood pressure.
Are you saying I do?
Yeah, you told me you did.
Oh, no. My blood pressure is okay. Yeah. Really.
You told me it was a little bit higher.
I told you it was higher when I was like, when I went from.
Right.
Yeah. When I blew myself up on purpose.
I thought you were saying you were still.
No. It's come back down.
Okay.
Yeah. I got it. It was like scary high then, just because I gained a lot of weight in a very short amount of time. Right. My body was struggling to adapt. It was like, what the fuck is happening?
No, bro. This is not how you get stronger. This is how you die.
Yeah. And since I've been like kind of that weight for a while now, and I started working with it, I started walking and I started moving around a lot instead of just sitting on my ass. My last time I went and got it checked, I was like, oh shit, cool. It's like, it's not even at
I don't have headaches all day anymore.
Yeah. Yes. It's not even like slightly high. It's like slightly below what's normal,
Well, nice.
Which was surprising because I'm a very huge person.
Right.
My heart's working hard, I guess.
I'd still try.
I guess not working that hard. I don't know.
Efficiently.
There we go.
Efficient.
Yeah.
Don't want to work hard. You want to work efficiently.
Yeah.
Nasal breathing though, like you should try it.
I'll tape my mouth shut tonight and hope I don't die.
let's not jump. Let's clear out the nasal passage first. Then because it's not like you want to be able to like, if you had to jump out of bed and yell, you want the tape to be able to be like,
right.
Your mouth can pull it open.
Rip my lip skin off.
Right. You don't want to, what's your wife's name?
Crystal.
You don't want to tell Crystal that you need to tape your mouth shut because she'd be like,
what?
Sweet. I got some duct tape.
Yeah.
You don't want that. I just use a very small piece. But it's like, and it's popping up more, the whole nasal breathing thing. But like, I think it's night and day for me when if I fall asleep and my mouth drops open, I can tell the next morning like, fucking feel like shit. Also affects your facial structure. So like people with less prominent chins usually are mouth breathers some.
Interesting.
So you'd have to talk to my wife about it more, but
yeah.
Or an ENT would probably be the better person to go to, you know. Get one of those dudes up here on your podcast and talk to them about it.
We can get her on.
You'd probably be
Why not?
You'd probably be like, why am I in, what is going on? Why am I here? Well, we both mouth breathe, so we were hoping that you could help us with this.
Yeah. Well, dude, we're almost at 2 hours. It's pretty much going to be 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's been nice talking to you.
Yeah, man, it's been great.
Yeah. Not trying to cut this off whatever, but
I do have to get up at 4:45.
Yeah. I was just keeping that in mind, and I was like, it's been 2 hours. We started at 9.
Right.
Sorry.
Dude, I've enjoyed it. I'd love to come back. We didn't even really talk about nerd stuff that much.
No, we didn't. We'll get you on an episode. Like the next one we do.
I'm just really long-winded, so you have to
That's fine.
We have to come up with a hand signal for you to be like, maybe this thing.
Yeah, ding. It's my turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when they're on, it's great for me because if I don't have a lot to say or whatever, if I'm not sure, Brighton and Josh just take
Go
it.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why if you see the clips that come from those episodes, almost all of them are just Josh talking because Josh is the same way and he just goes and goes and goes about this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, this is sick.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You guys would really, really get into it.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Foundry and all that. You know, plug all your stuffs. Just plug all your stuffs.
Plug it.
Yeah.
So Bearded Barbell is the Instagram handle for my personal training and online training. And then the Foundry Barbell is the gym here in Greenville, and it's on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah. Greenville, North Carolina, if that hadn't already been said. Anyway.
The only Greenville.
Yeah, well, a lot of South Carolinians would argue.
They don't matter.
Damn mustard barbecue sauce.
And that is 100% why they don't matter.
All right. Well, you guys, thanks for hanging with us for almost 2 hours. Make sure you follow Small Stuff Podcast on Instagram, follow us on TikTok, all the things I said before. If you were here at the beginning of the episode, I don't know why you'd skip all the way to the end. But if you did, follow us on all the things. Everything's down in the description and the show notes. All of Skyler's links will be down there. All of our links will be down there. We still have stickers and keychains. I'm just going to keep pushing these things until somebody buys one. I don't know, man. If you want one, go to the website. They're still there. That's it. We'll see you later.